All right, here's something that is indeed not reptiles, but I breed red-bellied piranha. And I've had these piranha for years. So these are all just animals we raised from babies. Some of them actually babies we even produced. And breeding them is not the hard part. Rearing the babies is the challenge. So here's a nest. It's more infertile eggs than I like, but there was a lot of eggs right there. So that's a big female right there on the right. And that's a male. He's got a more slanted head. He's not as heavy bodied, but that's a female. Big girth on that. There's other ones. This tank has about 16 to 18. I've forgotten my count. So anyways, you have this nest that he's protecting. That's my kookaburra. Sid. That's why this is bubblegum video. He wants to tell you he's got some goldfish. I guess we'll just really bubblegum out. Hi. Oh, here's my big boy. That's Jeremy. Back to the piranha. So they lay their eggs, and within about 3 days they begin to hatch, depending on your water temperatures. In this case, water is probably about 80 degrees. Yeah. And then the fry drop into the gravel, and they have a big yolk, and they'll sit there for at least probably 5 days before they become free swimming. So they're gonna just sit down there, and so there's like a little one right there. Where is it? Right there. I just saw a little baby flitting around. My camera's having a hard time. So the one that's swimming around would be from another spawn. This is like a 350-gallon tank. So I had to knock down the lighting so we wouldn't get too much reflection. Water parameters are, here comes more noise. Water parameters are 6.5, the pH, and the trick to breeding these guys is dropping the temperatures and water changes. So now you've got the babies. So once the babies become free swimming, that's when you got to start feeding them. So the first foods would be generally egg yolk, and so a hard-boiled egg, and then you emulsify that and you put it into a syringe. Here's an older baby. You can watch what he's doing. And you feed him egg yolk, and then you do baby brine shrimp. And what I don't see is, I have not been able to find a single video on breeding piranha and actually rearing the babies. And that's like a pretty big deal. It's taken me so much trial and error breeding these. So if you crowd them, crowded babies, I think, are releasing a chemical which causes mass mortality events. So they start to die off. And then you'll start out with thousands of babies, and then you end up with maybe none or some like this. At this stage, I like to pull these, and then you're making room for the next batches. These guys will eat flake food. They'll eat lots of frozen. Daphnia works really good. Cyclops, baby brine shrimp. There are little babies in here too. The way our lighting is right now is tough. But tricky. So I would love to know if anybody else is actually breeding these, because rearing the babies has been a huge challenge for me over time. I guess we might as well feed these guys. I'm gonna give them some salmon right now. Remember, they're big cowards. So it's gonna take the first one to come in grab the salmon, and then the frenzy begins. So here we go. I put the skin side up. That's not the greatest. But they are indeed Cerosalmus. They tear flesh so easily. Their teeth are very sharp. Gotta make sure your water is really good. Your parameters are real good. Non-tolerant of ammonia and poor water quality. Temperature drop about 75 to 80 seems to be the thing to do it. And when you're raising your babies, you'll see the real issues. You guys are being terrible. That is not. Wow. That's a horrible, horrible end to this video. You guys are acting like you get fed way too much. What they are, they're being cowards because the lighting, this is not their normal lighting. So I was just trying to make some lighting so the glass wouldn't reflect too much. So they're ridiculously spooky and unsure of things. You guys are embarrassing me. Here you go, grab that. These guys can be very, very greedy feeders too. Once one grabs it and starts racing around with it, usually it's on. Much as I'd like to pick that up, I think I just spooked me more. But piranhas are generally cowardly, and they do best in groups. So keeping them in, I think we always consider it like odd numbers, 3s, 5s, 7s. That's about as far as I can count, but those kind of increments when you're keeping these guys. Is this more noise? All right, well anyways, so I actually have, those are guppies, but I actually have babies in the other room that we put in our pet store and we sell them. But I would be very, very interested to see who else is successfully breeding these, because this is no joke. As far as very frustrating, Joey at DIY, or King of DIY, Joey, has a killer tank of piranha, and I'm wanting to know, even, you know, Joey, are you gonna end up breeding those? I think Joey's got like 30, and it's a very, very impressive tank. But there's actually quite a bit of fry in there. Of course, when I'm looking for it, it's really hard to see. Right there. See right there. Right center. That's a little fry. So that day, that's probably about 5 days free swimming. And clearly the adults do not eat these. You'll find, if I went and I siphon these out of the gravel, and the gravel's just loaded with babies. Because when one breeds, you often get multiple nests. I've had up to 5 nests at the same time. And prior to spawning, the males will guard a nest, and they'll start pointing their head down and kind of shaking and display, and that is a really good indication that you're about ready to have spawning. And they generally spawn at night. All right, breeding red belly piranha. It's a tricky one to say goodbye. Here's some of the older red bellies we made. And these guys are fantastic. Feeding them a lot of flake food is a good idea. These guys do really well in groups. These are all, you know, from the same batch of babies. So what we do is we generally pull out the older ones as we create new batches, and that way we don't have a ridiculous amount of cannibalism. So one thing you'll notice is they all have, well, I mean, as best you can see, this is a bubblegum video, so I just pick up my camera. I didn't even clean the fronts, nothing, but I just figured I'd make a quick video because I don't see anywhere on YouTube people actually rearing piranha. So if I'm wrong, please show me, because I used to scour the internet like how to actually successfully breed these. Look, Exodon tetras. That's like a little mini piranha. And that's an animal that does really well in schools. Like, just does great when there's a ton of them. But these red-bellied piranha, rearing the babies, you know, you start out with a lot of babies and then you don't necessarily end up with a lot. But we're slowly kind of figuring a balance of these. But when you do this and they're truly captive tank bred babies that are reared, they seem to acclimate really, really well. They'll eat flake food, they'll eat obviously frozen, bloodworms, all that. But you don't have to feed them other fish. And I think that's one thing I shoot for, is not having to just feed them other living animals. I think it helps reduce the aggression. And such. So I would be very interested to know, are there other people that are tank breeding and rearing piranha? That would be very interesting. Once again, the water parameters, if anybody even cares, it's generally 6.5 seems to be magic. So I use RO, and I use my well water on the 2. But baby piranha are quite hardy. I really enjoy piranha because strength in numbers with these guys. There's actually quite a few in here, but as soon as I came down here and started filming, they freaked out. So Joey over at DIY, King of DIY, I want to know, are you going to breed your piranhas, and what is going to be your method of rearing the babies? Because it seems like everything Joey touches, Joey's just got it. And he's my go-to guy when I look at, what's going, like, how do I do this? And I was actually plaguing Joey. I'm like, how do I do this? Because the babies, I was just having, mass mortality events, and they will not tolerate crowding. Even a 400-gallon tank filled with babies, you will still have to try to survive.